Oh shit, I was recording, right? Oh, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Is the audience watching?
Yes.
Oh, that was mostly cat hair.
I cleaned, I'll have you know. No. But anyway, hello everyone. Today, you know, you thought it was over. You thought we were done with our reviews. But no, you thought we were done with She-Hulk.
No, we still hate the bitch.
We still hate it. And so, I was actually just browsing on the interwebs, you know, as you do, as a Gen Zer. And I came across IGN, which is...
You sound like such a boomer trying to describe yourself as a Gen Z. You are actually a Gen Z
Dude,
kid.
I watched a video about... it was supposed to be a court case, and they were using only like Gen Z terms, and I was struggling so hard to follow. I'm like, what the fuck are these people saying?
No, I'm hip and with it, Jeremy. I could watch that video and translate it perfectly.
No cap?
Yeah, no cap, no. Not gonna lie, for real.
Oh god. Yeah, I was sitting there, I was like, what is happening? But I found an IGN video. Hey! No, you're gonna fuck up my shade.
This incredibly important lighting.
This incredibly important lighting.
Yes.
It's vital to our video that the sun does not
Otherwise,
glare.
it'd be way too freaking bright.
Way
in this room.
too exposed.
Yeah.
So exposed. It's like oh man, it's like the Flash. That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exposed
for a lot of his shit. What the fuck was his name? I can't remember.
What? Ezra Miller.
Ezra, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Ezra Miller and Pee Wee Herman, they just keep exposing themselves.
No, that's actually kind of like a double point, because to flash somebody could also mean to expose your cock and balls to another person.
And also to expose yourself as an exposer.
Yeah.
This is getting meta.
But Ezra Miller is not the topic of today. No matter what his body count is and how many cops he whooped the piss out of. Although that is another video idea. It's like Ezra Miller, a tier list of Ezra Miller arrests.
It's almost like Florida Man, but it's just one person.
It's just that guy.
It's just that guy. He has a troubled mind.
Yeah, I love him a little bit.
But I came across a She-Hulk review by IGN, and if you know anything about IGN, you know that they're trash. Yeah. And so I was like, I covered this, and you know, I think we've been pretty in depth with She-Hulk. We talked about a lot of the ifs, ands, or buts. You know, some of the writing, some of the characters. I don't think I've posted it yet, but I have a full She-Hulk review that I need to upload that I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I decided to can what I wrote because I felt like it was too vague, and I just went episode by episode and broke it down. So expect that in the future, but first I'll probably post my review. Anyway, so we came across this IGN review, and holy shit, it's something, man. It really is something. So I couldn't help it. I wanted Riley to do a reaction and to watch and see his expressions as we discuss IGN's take on She-Hulk and how they felt about the show. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Wait, spoilers. A little bit.
Yes, fun lawyer show.
There was a lot of intrigue when She-Hulk Attorney at Law got announced.
Okay, first off, because I want to pause it throughout. Do you feel like there was a lot of intrigue for She-Hulk and other in this Marvel IP when it came out?
A lot of intrigue? No, because she's She-Hulk. You kind of know everything you need to know about her. She's a lawyer. She's a Hulk.
Yeah. You know, it's like, I mean, when they were writing or came up with this show, it's like, okay, we know a lot about Jen Walters. What are they going to do with it? It's like, we're just going to give you the character and not develop anything. It's like, oh. As far as intrigue goes, the only investment I had in She-Hulk was knowing that Jace was in it, and then I got to see that episode, and that was the peak of my intrigue.
So yeah, it's like, oh, God, there were so many problems that I had with just like, not She-Hulk as a character, but Jen Walters as a character.
Yes.
Because like,
She-Hulk's gonna Hulk out and smash shit.
Yeah. I mean, She-Hulk is, almost a separate character in my mind.
Right.
Because She-Hulk does all of the cool shit. It's not that cool, but she does all of like the conflict and shit.
Right.
It's like she shows up to court as She-Hulk, she fights as She-Hulk. Jen Walters is just kind of like, I don't know, like her ugly step-sibling that no one really pays attention to. And so...
And there comes a point where she kind of accepts that too, like when the wedding, when she goes as She-Hulk. It's like, I thought you didn't like this girl, but she's better at you in every way.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like, that is my problem with Jen Walters, is like, she is just there to usher in She-Hulk.
Exactly, yeah.
So, But that's a minor gripe compared to all the other gripes I have.
Jennifer Walters.
Real quick, let me bring up the closed captions. Because I don't know if the desktop audio is pulling or not. So, we can kind of hear it over here on the big TV. So, I'll turn it up just a tad. And that'll bring up the closed captionings.
Alright.
So we can also read if you so wish.
Walters is the leader of the A-Force, the all-female Avengers team. We may not be in A-Force territory just yet, but She-Hulk proved that with a sitcom format, some serious swings, and a whole lot of cameos and fourth wall breaks, the world is Jen's oyster.
I mean, it's Disney. They're gonna give anybody and everybody a fucking series. Andor got his own. Cassian Andor got his own series.
Yeah. And also, I wanted to let the viewers know about that. I've been watching Cassian Andor. I've gotten to like episode 5. I just don't have any investment in this character. Like, there's nothing that really draws me to him. I mean, he's not terrible. The biggest thing that I liked about Cassian Andor in the movie was his jacket. I thought he had a cool looking jacket. That was about the extent of it.
Yeah, okay, so we're not saying that like Andor is a bad show. From what I've seen, it's a really well made show.
Yes.
It just didn't need to be a show.
Yes.
No one asked for an Andor series.
It's like, imagine if they had this kind of development, production, and writing towards, say, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Do you know how many people would be like jizzing in their pants right now still over this show?
Dude, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the guy.
The guy.
He's like the
guy.
Star Wars character. Like Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan. And those are like the 3 biggest characters that everybody like talks about, and they're like the most developed. And,
anytime you bring up Star Wars or you're talking about characters in the story, you're talking about
you're going to bring up one of those 3. And that show got fucking slated compared to Andor.
Oh my god.
A minor character in a side story. Like a a movie
literally
that was
a supporting role in a
supporting movie,
I guess, yeah. I was trying to think about what
sort of like a lore recap, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean,
like Rogue One.
What is it called? I mean,
Rogue One.
Spin-off.
Yeah, okay, spin-off. Yeah. A supporting character in a spin-off movie got his own series.
Marvel is putting out anything at this point. And I know she's talking about A-Force. They're already working on something like that. It's called The Marvels.
The Marvels.
They're making a show called The Marvels, which is supposed to be the next, I guess, Avengers. But it's supposed to be an all-female cast, if I'm not mistaken.
Fuck it, they're gonna do both.
Yeah, fuck it. At this point, there'll be at the very end there'll be an after-credit scene where they just drop the A-Force name.
Yeah.
And then we get all of these bitches like.
Yeah. So if they're going to make it, they're going to make it.
Yeah. It's
both. But that's the thing is like, am I opposed to like an all-female Avengers like team? Not really. I'm just against the idea that they're going to fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, it's like, am I against an all-female team for this or that? Not if it's done right. But at this point, when it comes to Marvel, I really do think that there is a there is a Marvel fatigue going on, especially with this bad season that's come out recently, or this bad phase in general. It's like when you have a show or when you have movies that you've been churning out for 20 years, and you've actually you put a cap on it. You came to an ending. Call it Endgame. You know, where do you go from there? At that point, in my opinion, you should close out. Yeah. If anything, it should be within this time frame from Iron Man to Endgame. You can either do before that, you know, with like Captain America and stuff. But I don't think you should go past Endgame unless you want some sort of epilogue. Yeah. You know, like rounding out some characters that you might not have finished off with Endgame.
I know, and it's like, it's Marvel, it's superheroes, you want to see action, you want to see all of that. But this was supposed to be like a lawyer comedy show. Like, it was like a lawyer, it was like a law comedy first, and like an action show second. Yeah. I'm just thinking, it was like, if you're going to like branch off and do more than just action, why not do like dramas? Yeah. Like, why not do like a drama involving like, just to give an example, do like a drama series involving what was her name? Penny, I think. It was like Captain America's girlfriend.
Yeah,
World War II. Yeah, like the grief that she had to deal with and how she had to move on with her life and like
a character-driven drama
and her character-driven drama. Just, you know, there's a lot of like interesting plot ideas that you can make with all of these characters that people do recognize. Right. But they just keep making new characters to push. Honestly, it feels almost like baiting at this point, where they keep making deliberately bad shows for people to like make reviews and hate on.
Yeah, well, I mean,
to bring in traction.
Well, I mean, you know, that's what we're here for, guys. Yeah. But it just it wrecks me because, you know, you could write decent shows like this, but it's just they're hiring all the wrong people, and she'll talk about more of that in a sec, because she has some whack opinions. Yeah. But yeah, actually, let's see what else she has to say.
So now I'm gonna go make this cake.
Blah. The '60s intro. Yeah. Which, by the way, was one of the things that I actually enjoyed. I mean, I would have enjoyed it if it was a good show. Yeah. I'd have been like, you know, that's a tasteful comedy show. I get it. But when the comedy was all trash, I'm like, now I just feel like you're mocking it. Yeah. You know? So it put a bad taste in my mouth. Hulk smashed the PaTrIaRcHy.
Okay.
I guess that's her headline. I didn't even see that the first time I watched this. Rather seeing all this for the first time. So.
Are these like highlight? Because I've seen a couple of these like slide through. Are these supposed to be like highlights that she's gonna get to, or are these points that she's trying to make? What does that say? Now streaming on Disney.
Yeah, now streaming on Disney.
Hulk smashed the PaTrIaRcHy by Amelia Emberwig.
Yeah, I think that's her title. That's going to be my guess.
Is this? Okay, you know what? I'm focusing on the wrong thing. Keep it going.
Without further ado, yeah, that was a picture that upset me.
I get it. I just want to make sure that you don't think this is.
Pay attention to the fucking road.
Yeah, watch. Yeah. The only person that can do that is Deadpool. That's because he's invincible. I mean, I guess you could argue that she could do that, but she's a lawyer. She's already caused enough property damage.
That's not the biggest problem. The biggest, she'll be fine. Everyone else is what I'm worried about.
Oh man.
Every type of shows. Just remember whose show this actually is.
Yeah, it's bad.
The trio of director Kat Coy. Head writer Jessica Gao and star Tatiana Maslany isn't the only reason She-Hulk Attorney at Law succeeds, but they do.
Okay, I want to stop you there, lady.
Okay.
Who the fuck said this show succeeds? And at what?
Everyone hated the show.
Everyone and their mother.
Yeah. Highlight on mothers, because oh my god, so many women hated the show.
Oh, yes.
They were just like, this is a horrible representation for women.
Yeah, this just...
You're making us look bad.
Yes, and they were trying to make the men look bad, but it was like, yes, I mean, two things can be true at once. You made men, like, these particular men look bad, but you also made these particular women look bad, too.
And these are the people that are supposed to represent the genders as a whole.
It's like, I'm sorry, but, you know, you can't just show the bad dude being like, I'm gonna go and bang all these chicks, and then have your main protagonist be like, guess who, banged Matt Murdock? It's like, you can't have it both ways. Either it's bad to objectify people, or it's not bad to objectify people.
No. But they love each other after having sex one time.
After meeting each other
30
minutes ago.
It's a good Christian relationship, Jeremy.
Oh, yes. Of course. I mean, Daredevil is Catholic.
Remember that, guys. That is very important. He is a Catholic boy, a good Catholic boy. He's blind and Catholic.
And share the credit between them. Koiron and Gao knew exactly what they wanted to bring to the table with
pausing for copyright.
And there's no better person on the planet to play her than Maslany. So please also take the...
I mean, I think Maslany did an okay job, but was it like she was built for the role?
Okay, let me bring this up. I'm just going to say it. Okay, so Jen Walters, she was supposed to be like a feminist icon, I guess. I don't know if but the show doesn't know enough about like actual feminism. They just know like left-wing pop culture feminism, which is just like hating guys.
Riley's talking about left-wing pop culture. I never thought I'd see the day.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm you wouldn't know it but if you get me talking about politics, I'll get you on my side. Like I'll be just like, listen, dude, the government has been rotting from the inside out for a long time.
Yeah,
what we need to do now is arm ourselves as best as we can and be able and ready to revolt.
I really want to have a day where me and you just sit outside on like front or back porch, have cigars, and actually just talk politics and religion and do a whole stream on that about both of our opinions. Just because I just find out, I think that'd be fun because that's some of my favorite conversations we have. Mm-hmm. I know me and you are first became friends because of how much we like movies. But I think our political and religious conversations, because we're so different from each other.
Oh, me and Jeremy have nothing in common.
And yet we're best friends. It's okay. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
You're allowed to have differences.
Yeah, I'm great and he's autistic.
I have autism and Jeremy is normal. But anyway, what the fuck was I about to say? Oh yeah, so Jen Walters, she had like this feminist thing going on where it's like hating men and blah blah blah. And there were like two things that made me sort of go, really? It was one scene in the bar where this group of guys come up and they like basically hit on her, a catcall her. And she's like dressed up in like this hand-me-down shit that she got from a bunch of other skanks in a bathroom.
It looks like a bunch of hookers.
So she's wearing like, I guess like a pink fur coat. I think
it was a white fur coat.
Like a white fur coat.
Yeah.
And like new shoes and shit, blah blah blah. So it was like smash cuts, like women uplifting each other, supporting each other.
Smash cut to the guys, sup bitch.
Sup bitch.
Basically.
There's also let's bring this up. In the scene, they were just like, listen, whoever did this to you, he doesn't deserve you, or she, or they. I was just like, alright, cool little nod to the non-binaries, but you don't have the balls to put a character in there, though.
Damn swiggity.
I was like, oh, you're gonna mention them but not put them on screen? You're a fucking coward. You're a coward. It's like, this is Animal Planet. You're the animal, and I want you off my fucking planet. But yeah, so that was that one scene where it's like she's being catcalled by a bunch of guys, and then there's this scene where she's like doing this meditation with Bruce, the real Hulk, the good Hulk.
Yes.
And she's just like, oh yeah, I have to control my anger whenever I'm being catcalled on the streets. And I'm
yes.
And then I actually had to take a step back and be like, who the fuck is catcalling this who gives a fuck looking bitch? This 5 across the fucking board looking bitch. Like, it's like, this isn't Scarlett Johansson. I mean, I'd even give Brie Larson a pass if this was her. I'd be like, you know what, Brie Larson, she has some features, but I'm just like...
She doesn't have an ass, but she makes up for it with, like, at least a decent face.
Yeah, Brie Larson is very pretty in the face, and I'll give her all of that. Scarlett Johansson, just stacked in all the right places. Beautiful woman. She could be 60 and I'd still fuck her. But yeah, I'm just like, how often are people realistically hitting on this, like honestly, like flat across the board?
This 6 on a good day.
6 on a good day looking woman.
And I'm saying that as a man who's a 6 on a good day.
Like, okay, it's just like, listen, you can always look better. You can't change your fucking face without surgery. I'm just like, that's not a face that gets hit on. And this only cements my, like, complaint, considering the fact that they get a whole new supermodel actress to play Hulk when she's in She-Hulk form. I was like, she's only hot enough to be, like, a dumpy, awkward lawyer.
Yeah.
So I was like, those two things got, like, shown on screen,
yes.
and I'm just like, I just don't believe you.
I don't believe.
Yeah, it's like, I can control my anger whenever guys hit on me. I'm just like, who? Who are these desperate, didn't even fucking try guys? Hey, try guys.
Hey. Speaking of hitting on women.
Yeah, we're never gonna make a video on Try Guys. No. We don't give a shit about them.
I don't give a fuck. I've watched Try Guys because Shay was like, watch this, and I'm like,
I don't care.
Yeah.
I tried watching Try Guys. I made like 2 videos, and I stopped caring.
Yep, that's about right.
No one gave a shit until Ed Fulmer cheated on his wife.
Yep.
I was like, that should have been a video. It's like, I try having an affair.
Oh my god! Ned Fulmer tries having an affair.
That would have been
Hey guys,
awesome.
welcome to the Try Guys. Here today, I'm gonna try and cheat on my wife.
That would have been excellent. I would have loved it. I would have watched that video.
Oh man, you know how many views that would get?
I would be like, I tuned in. I'd be like,
look,
you know what, Try Guys? I didn't give a fuck about like whatever you were doing before this, but this
hook, line, and sinker.
This got me. You gained an audience member. Keep doing shit like this.
I'll drop a like on that just on the premise.
Shout out to casting directors Sarah Finn and Jason B. Stamey. It's immediately confident in its irreverent tone, and Jen wins over our hearts with ease with chronic relatability and by instilling an unshakable desire to root.
Okay. Let's go.
Slow it down. You don't need to use all these big words to sound smart, lady.
Yes, the show is confident in its irreverent tone, and Jen wins over our hearts and minds, our hearts with ease.
Relatability.
Chronic relatability. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't describe She-Hulk as chronically relatable.
I wouldn't even use those 2 words together in the same sentence. Like, chronic relatability. I'm like, that sounds like...
It sounds really sad.
Chronic relatability. I'm just like, no one used those words because that's not an intelligent way to put words together.
Yeah, chronic is more whenever you're discussing something. I understand that it's usually something that you use that phrase for something that's reoccurring and long-lasting. But normally chronic is something like pain, which is what this show is.
Chronic relatability. That sounds like a college freshman trying to like sound smart in their like paper.
Well,
like in an essay.
They're at IGN, so you're pretty close to the mark.
I fucking got your number. I got you figured out, you dumb slut.
And then what was the other one?
And by instilling an unshakable desire to root for her success.
No. Who is rooting for Jen at the start of this? From episode 1? Because
I know. That one sidekick character who's her best friend and only serves to just gas up She-Hulk.
Well, not only that, but I was listening to a couple of guys, and they actually mentioned a really decent point where they're like, her side character, her friend, only gives a shit when it benefits her. Because even when She-Hulk or Jen Walters loses her job and is put in jail and all this shit, she's like, yeah, this place is terrible. Fuck these guys. I'm taking all of their foods and all the goodies, but I'm still going to work here because they pay me. It's like, wow. Nice. What a friend you are. It's like these people just screwed me over and are now throwing me in prison, and you're still going to work for them.
Well, yeah. What was it? I can't remember that character's name.
Oh God.
So few characters make an impression.
Yeah, it's.
I remember Jen's dad though.
Yeah.
He was the only good character in the whole show.
He was the only decent
Jen's
character.
dad.
Yeah, Jen's dad. I would. They make a spin-off show on Jen's dad.
I would watch
Mr. Walters.
Mr. Walters. It's just boring, mundane, old guy shit. There's a whole episode where he just plays 18 rounds of golf.
Yeah, it's like the beginning of Mr. Incredible. You know, where it's just going through his daily life and shit.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I'd watch that.
I at least give it 2 episodes of my attention.
I could just hear the Avengers music coming in, and he's coming out with like a hoe or a rake.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this big boulder has been, just such a problem. I'm going to call up some guys, see if we can crush this down into some gravel, have it shoveled out. That's all.
That's the show.
That's one episode.
Episode 1. Oh man. But as far as rooting for her success, I mean, in the beginning, I can't say I was, because she came off to me as kind of bitchy, especially to Bruce, with that line that you were talking about. And I was like, you're condescending. Hello, cat. So no, I don't think we were rooting for her success, to be honest.
I mean,
So happy to be.
I didn't want to see the show fail. I wanted it to be
good,
because you never want a show to be bad.
No.
But after a show already establishes itself as bad, it's hard to want to see anyone in it succeed.
Exactly.
It's like, you know what? You're a piece of shit and you deserve to fail.
Riley, 2022.
A sitcom is the perfect vehicle for someone who just wants to be invisible and do her job, suddenly becoming a giant, green, indestructible bombshell.
Okay, for one thing, this show is terrible at doing a sitcom, because for one thing, it has an extended plot. Second of all, these open-shut cases that this show tends to provide has wider implications for one thing, for the meta of Marvel as a universe, and for She-Hulk show as a whole. I mean, you can't just drop in, for instance, Bruce Banner's son, and that'd be like, open, close, episode. It's like, no, something big just fucking happened.
Yeah.
This isn't like SpongeBob, where everything resets, essentially, where each day is no different from the other. This has a continual plot with continual things, but it segments itself in these little 20-30 minute bits and calls itself a sitcom.
Yeah.
It's only a sitcom if everything basically resets in the beginning. Now, of course, you have shows like How I Met Your Mother and Friends and stuff where they do have wide, overarching things over the course of seasons, but it's like seasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as far as this goes, it's like
it's like, well, here's the thing, and by the way, in case the audience member doesn't know what sitcom is, it's short for situational comedy.
Right.
So, which means like situational comedy. It's comedy that is derived from just happenstance and wacky sort of small conflicts that you end up in, and it's usually broken up into each episode is its own self-contained story.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. It's it's really hard to not do callbacks to certain things. Like, okay, How I Met Your Mother, Barney Stinson's Revenge.
Yes.
Yes, that was basically something that was spanning across entire seasons, and it took a long time for it to pay off.
Right.
And we found out a whole new depth to Barry's character that we were not privy to it in the beginning of the show.
Right. Which I enjoyed that show. That was a good show.
Never saw it.
Yeah.
No.
You should watch it sometime. I think you would enjoy it. I mean, it was.
That's the thing. It's just as time goes on, it's just older sitcoms are becoming harder and harder to stay relevant and still find funny.
Yes.
Because they're so it's sort of appropriate for what a situational comedy is, but they're very of their time.
Yes.
So it's just will I even be able to get into it?
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll give it a shot.
I mean, it might be worth a couple episodes here or there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Expecting you to be at work and in court as the She-Hulk.
By using humor...
Which, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember if that was illegal or not, but essentially they have her hired as a She-Hulk, which it's funny because Jen mentions that. She's like, it's almost as if they just hired me because I'm this green monster, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah. You're a superhero. They hire superheroes. That's their thing.
Yep. They hired you because you're a superhero. That's
when the creative team were able to highlight some of the most ridiculous parts of everyday life as a woman, while also showcasing the struggles of having superpowers thrust upon you in a way that we hadn't seen the MCU tackle previously.
Such a relatable topic.
Oh, so relatable. Oh my god.
Yes. God, I hated it. Dude, I remember when I first got my laser vision, I must have killed like 8 crowds of people before I learned how to shut it off.
Oh yeah.
God.
Dude, I remember when I was hired because of my looks, and then everybody judged me due to that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was rough, buddy. That was. I as a straight white male was a diversity hire.
Yeah.
Oh man, but the struggles of being a woman. Not to say that women don't have struggles, but men do too. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. Here's the thing. It's just like these are like the struggles of women, but they're so like hyperbolic in the show that it just makes it like,
It's weird because it's like they're not only hyperbolic, but they're also not memorable. It's like, okay, people are looking at you because, like, for instance, the implication that this scene is trying to portray is that they don't think that she's there because she's competent, which she's not, but they think she's there just due to the fact that she got this accidental serum, which she is. But the point they're trying to convey is that, you know, she is just as competent as anyone else, and that's why she's there. But my whole thought process is they're making it hyperbolic. Everybody's looking at her and judging her for this reason. But if you're competent, then people will notice.
Okay, so they hired her due to the fact, by virtue of her being a superhuman.
Right.
You're not barred from proving your competence along the way.
Because like they're having this whole relatability thing, or this chronic relatability right here.
God, so chronic.
It's so relatable.
I can't escape this relatability.
God, it's terminal.
If only there was a cure for how relatable this was.
But they're blowing it up to be such a big deal, and I'm thinking, you know, if you're supposed to be a strong and powerful woman, you know, I would brush this shit off and be like, I'll show my stuff, prove that I can be here, and earn my respect, which is what anybody would do.
And then she fails to do that.
Yes, chronically.
God, is this why they hired me?
Yes.
I am totally qualified, but now everyone around here is always going to think this is the only reason that I got the job. It's so unfair.
It's not. It's the exact reason.
Yeah.
See.
Fall apart until the finale. And the same can be said for the fourth wall breaks. Up until that last episode, Jen's eye contact with the camera and reliance on humor served her well.
We'll spend the rest of the year worrying about what I just said.
However...
Oh, gosh. Okay. Did you like the fourth wall breaks?
Well,
I know she does it in the comics.
Well, yeah, that's sort of her thing. It's very pivotal to her character. It's sort of like... It's kind of a big quality.
It's a part of her comedy.
Yeah.
But do you think they did it well in this show?
Yeah. That's really all I have to say. It's just a very like unenthused. Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, you look at Deadpool's fourth wall breaks, and I mean, and a lot of these are iconic. One of my favorites is actually not even a Deadpool quote, but it was when Deadpool's friend looks at me. He's like, "Hey, you know, that guy over the bar wants to talk to you," and he goes, "About what?" And he's like, "I don't know, it might further the plot." And I always adored that line. I found it to be
that's the thing, is like Deadpool does fourth wall breaks organically and consistently throughout the whole movie.
Right.
Jen Walters in She-Hulk really only talk to the camera. That's like the extent of their fourth wall breaks until the last episode where they walk out of the screen, I guess.
Right.
That would have been okay. That I would have forgiven everything for the show if the actual actress just punched through this computer screen and crawled out and was in this living room. We'd be like, holy wow!
We would have been we would have been like, I thought she had her inhibitor on, just like the guys in the studio.
Yeah, like, okay, you know what? 10 out of 10 fourth wall breaks. You actually broke through my computer and ended up in my living room.
Fantastic. Good on you.
Now leave. But yeah, that's just...
Giant bomb in the penultimate episode left the show unable to reconcile with its tone. Serious issues can be tackled via humor, as is shown all the time in other 22 to 24 episode seasons. Unfortunately, She-Hulk Attorney at Law seems to just run out of time.
Well, I mean, when you have episodes that are literally 23 minutes long, it's hard to create these longer form stretches. Also, and not only that, but there are episodes where there's filler in a 9-episode show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I believe it was 9 episodes. But I mean, even this lady is saying that it was, you know, a 24, 25 minutes. But if you gave this show, say, 20 episodes, they could have covered serious tones, or they could have covered this and that, because you would have more length, right?
Mm-hmm.
More length to go over these areas. I mean, unless you want to do Lord of the Rings and you want to, I mean, to be fair, they're long movies, but there's a lot of information that you can pull from those movies in a short amount of time. I mean, for 4 hours, there are, you know, longer establishing shots, but there's a lot of information you get out of the dialogue that happens in those movies, you know. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate is you learn several things at once, which we'll talk about Pirates of the Caribbean. There's a lot of great stuff in that too, where it accomplishes several tasks.
Yeah.
But bless you.
Thank you.
With this show, the problem is it's the serious tones was the sex tape reveal sort of situation. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we're gonna expose her as a slut, and I'm like, well, you're not wrong, but still, you shouldn't release people's sex tapes, and you should.
Well, that's a crime.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But it's like it felt so out of the ordinary for what the show's tone was, and I agree with this writer in the sense that it did heavily clash with what the tone originally was. It was like, okay, this is a bit too serious right now. And then the show just never really, like, they just kind of brushed it off and went on from that, but still.
I feel like this episode should be over.
Any reckoning with the abject humiliation Jen experiences is dropped in favor of quick hits humor and a finale that had too much to get to in the span of just 30 minutes.
Is this what you guys want?
Jennifer Walton. She's a woman
Oh, gosh.
She has no more fight.
We're not doing a narrator. We're not that off the rails.
She-Hulk Attorney at Law's finale may not be the best episode of the bunch, but it's not enough to drag down the overall success of the show.
There is no success of the show, though. The problem.
You can't drag it down further than it is.
I mean, it was basically a proverbial cherry on top to the trash pile that it was. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like this show is going really, really bad and going in a really, really terrible direction. And then the last episode came out. I was like, well, then yeah, this show is complete garbage. Then like the only thing that it had going for it with the plot wise was just thrown out the fucking window. Like it's gone, it's over. So I get where she's trying to go, or what she's trying to say here, which is, you know, that hey, the last episode wasn't great, and I'm like, yeah, but the problem that I'm having with your argument is that the whole show wasn't great.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be my biggest issue here.
Fans worried that the series wouldn't have any value to the overall MCU canon were proven wrong time and time again, not just with major involvement from characters like...
I like how she's like, you know, this show is beneficial to the MCU canon.
By adding Hulk's son?
Exactly.
Wong, Hulk, and Daredevil, but with character introductions that have huge implications to the future of the franchise.
I have someone here that I'd like to overmeet.
But yeah.
The show's value as something...
So, what she's trying to... I don't know if this lady understands, but the MCU canon now is so fucked
Yeah.
It's non-existent due to Phase 4. Even there were issues in Phase 2 and Phase 3. They had plenty of issues. But Phase 4 has gone so heavily off the rails. This is just madness. There is no canon anymore. MCU canon is just shredded. And I think this show is what shredded it, because the fact that it broke the fourth wall and literally changed outcomes of shows. It's just like, no, this is nonsensical now.
Yeah. So,
it is done nothing but it basically called the corner to announce that the MCU's dead. You know what I mean?
So it's like, as soon as you start adding like multiverses to any show, that's when like the canon becomes so confusing and just so hard to navigate and keep track of that it's better to just give up and accept whatever happens is just how it happens.
Yeah, exactly, because now, I mean, they mention in one scene that the Sokovia Accords have been appealed or something like that, and it's like, bro, we are so far from the Sokovia Accords now, because of how many times they have been broken.
Yeah.
It's like you're just calling the corner. The corner shows up and he's like, "Yep, this thing is dead."
Yeah.
So it's gone.
Completely fresh to the Marvel Cinematic Universe can't be understated either. While the MCU remains largely sexless, this is the first time we've seen female sexuality front and center in one of its series. In a world where women are still told they're asking for it in any context whatsoever.
I feel like she's projecting at this point.
Okay, wow. That was actual anger in that voice.
Yeah.
Like, that came out. Like she couldn't hold it back.
Yeah,
like,
she had some things she had to say.
Any contact. It was just like
you've had a troubled past, haven't you?
I was like,
someone said that you were asking for it, didn't they?
Yeah, I was like that. She was talking about herself in that moment.
Yeah.
Let's rewind that. Actually, I want to hear it again.
World where women are still told they're asking for it in any context whatsoever. Gal and Company brought us a woman in her 30s looking for healthy sexual relationships.
Oh my god. Okay, here's the problem that I have. Women in their 30s looking for healthy sexual relationships. I'm sorry, but...
Sorry, dude. There are no single hot MILFs in your area. Like, they don't exist. I'm sorry. That ad is lying to you.
I'm sorry, but, like... I feel like this goes for both men and women. In this situation, if you're in your 30s and you're still having like casual sex and you're not trying to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you're just kind of sleeping around, you're kind of like that guy that was a partier in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then went into a fraternity, got out of college, and is like he's like 25, 30 years old, but still going to the high school like parties.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like to me. It's like you're still trying. You haven't grown up yet. You know what I mean? It's like, because I've seen this point time and time again. I think it's a solid point. When you're hitting 30, your chances of reproduction are going to start going away.
right.
That's when it gets even more hard to carry children, at least for women. And some women are
guys.
yeah, and some women are fine with that, and if they don't have children, that's okay. But the problem is that like when you get older, you're going to start looking back on that and whether or not it was worth it. Was the short term worth it, or?
And the answer is yes, always.
Whereas I think when the loneliness sets in and you're in your chair and you're still drinking the same wine you've been drinking for the past 20 years, you're going to wonder, where did it all go wrong?
But that's enough about my mother.
Oh my god. And I don't think it's the most healthiest of things. If you want to do that, that's fine. That's your prerogative. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I just don't think that it's great for a long-term system. I mean, even look at Daredevil. Like after he bangs She-Hulk, she literally pulls him back, and he's like, "Look, I gotta get back to I gotta get back to Hell's Kitchen. And the dad's like, no, man, you're not going anywhere. I still have to have conversations. Like, no, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna bounce.
Right.
It's like they try to pull in Daredevil as if he's gonna be like the sweetheart romantic and he's gonna stay because he loves her, and it's like he's like, nah, I think I'm gonna leave.
That's great.
But yeah,
Relationships and sent Daredevil on the proverbial walk of shame, superhero suit and all.
Which, by the way, the whole thing about the proverbial walk of shame, I don't think it's a walk of shame, personally.
I don't know. I was just like,
but my thing is that the reason why like this image is the way it is because usually when women walk out of or leave a guy's house, they're carrying their high heels because high heels are uncomfortable.
And they're loud.
Daredevil was on the grass, and he was wearing like boots.
Yeah.
Why would he be walking barefoot?
I think it's just to show you.
Like this is a walk of shame.
It's like, guys, make no mistake, he's not happy.
You know, it's like if you were in his situation, you're a blind man, badass.
if I'm blind.
No. Think about it. You're a blind man, badass, kicking ass, taking names in Hell's Kitchen. You go out and you bang like She-Hulk. Is that how you're going to be leaving? Or are you going to be leaving feeling like the most absolute Chad ever?
I mean, yeah, because I just fucked She-Hulk.
Yeah. Would you be carrying your shoes?
Oh.
No.
No.
I mean, I used to be allergic to grass. I mean, so it's like, fuck that. But
Yeah.
even now, I just don't think that'd be comfortable.
No, I mean, I'd probably just walk out.
Yeah.
Be like, thanks for the tang. Later.
In true Riley fashion, the most charming of all men.
I'm just saying, you've only seduced one woman your whole life, Jeremy.
Fair enough.
I don't know, maybe there's something to my methods.
There are some. Maybe there is. Maybe.
Phase 1 could never.
Oh yeah.
Is an exclusive
Phase one can never have a man walking out doing the walk of shame because it doesn't make sense to do that.
Yeah. Also, they weren't exactly making comedy shows at the time.
Yeah.
They were making action movies.
Yes. Let's see.
Bashed approach to Jen's sex life either.
Females, am I right?
She-Hulk attorney at law takes toxic masculinity to task in a way that it's never been seen in this
Which,
franchise.
by the way, I didn't
or in
entirely
much of
disagree with
mainstream
these guys.
superhero media as
Okay.
a whole.
So why do we have to act like she earned everything?
See, because she let the audio cue in on there where he's like, "Why do we have to act like she earned everything?" I'm like, you're not wrong. She didn't earn all
It's
this.
like they sort of made like, oh, they're shy.
Oh, nice.
They sort of made this scene and all these guys as sort of like a preemptive, like, listen, we all know what you misogynistic pigs are gonna say, so we're just going to call you out now. We know what you guys are saying. We know what your talking points are.
Right.
Kind of agree with them there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
It's like you're not entirely. I mean, because they're not entirely wrong. I mean, when it comes to the blood was. I mean, if she had pulled him out and had gotten blood in her system, that's convenient and still technically unearned for the responsibility of Hulk.
Yeah.
Second of all, the way it was done and portrayed in the show was contrived as shit,
Yeah.
making it more convenient and more unearned.
mm-hmm.
She rips the door off a wrecked car. Do you know how hard that is? After it's been rolling?
Oh, yeah.
Good luck getting that door open.
Yeah, all 130 pounds of her ripped off the car door. That was awesome. And she didn't do it with She-Hulk powers at the time.
No, just pure, just pure strength of autism.
What is up with you and autism
Oh
today, man?
just today.
It's easy to roll your eyes at that and say that there
Well, I
are
didn't wanna
plenty of
say
other
retardation.
genres already taking swings on the toxic masculinity front, but that's kind of the point. The sheer volume of men, young and old, who religiously watch the MCU can't be downplayed. And She-Hulk squared its shoulders and screamed from the rooftops that boys will not be boys. Boys will be held accountable for their actions.
Well, I mean, when you have all of the boys, quote unquote, being complete and total assholes, I mean, sure, they should get what's coming to them. The problem is that, are you trying to say that all of the MCU is that way? You know what I mean? It's like, she's trying to say, no, boys, should be held accountable. Boys will not be boys. It's like, I'll have you know, it was kind of boys that saved the fucking universe 5 minutes ago. I mean, it was Tony Stark that kind of took, did the snap and died.
Yeah. There was, I mean, not to say that there were not women involved, but let's just remember, you owe everything to a man. No, I'm being facetious, but this is kind of like a moot point. It doesn't really add anything, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is kind of to, like, that scene, the whole scene with, like, the guys at the bar, and, they're having their beta cut discussion.
Right.
They're just, like, hating women and shit. Whatever.
Females, right?
Bitches, am I right? Never gave me any, and I hate them now.
Yeah. My mother didn't love me, now I hate all women.
That's my whole gripe, really, is that you kind of, you put that scene in because you wanted to call out critics, and you wanted to call out, like, a very specific brand of guys out there, incels. You wanted to basically grant yourself, like, a get out of jail free card for bad writing by equivalating all critics to the show to just this group of undesirable people. Well, you're just dodging any, like, actual criticism that you are receiving. You're just being like, oh, you didn't like the show? Fucking incel.
Absolutely.
Get out of my face.
And they were
your opinion means nothing now.
They were playing that from the get-go, even when the trailers were launching. There were, if I'm not mistaken, there were a couple of tweets from the directors and stuff, and bitching about the fact that it's men who are reviewing these shows, or men that aren't going to like it, and that it's a show built for women and stuff like that. It's like, regardless of men or women, I think we can all agree, a show's a show, and we can like it or not. Of course, some shows are built for particular audiences. You're going to have your E for everyone kind of shows like Avatar, or, some of the Disney movies. You're going to have shows that are more for a mature audience, but it's more usually based on age group. I mean, of course, age group, but you're going to have your rom-coms, which are, usually more feminine driven, but or more driven for women. However, at the same time, rom-coms can still be at least decent movies. They can still have decent, good objective writing.
Just to bring up, like, an example, but the show Arcane, the lead character of that whole show is a woman.
Yeah, both of them. I mean, you have both the sisters.
Yeah, you have both characters who,
You have both the sisters. You have the police officer lady, the older police officer lady. That show's full of them.
Yeah, it's full of, like...
And they're all fantastic.
They're all great characters.
And they're strong, powerful, independent women.
Yes, they're strong, independent women.
Yeah.
But they're not strong and independent for basically separating themselves and putting themselves above men and kicking them down.
Exactly.
They're
just good characters.
At no point in the show do you see any of those female characters, like, basically have, like, this feminist moment of, like, kicking a guy down and having, like, this triumphant moment by, like, pushing him.
Yeah, there wasn't a Avengers Endgame shot with all of the women characters in one frame.
Yeah, it was just like they were all just good, well-written characters. With like motivations and like experiences that shape them into what they are.
And they played out accordingly. It's not like that, because that's another. My biggest problem with this show is you can see, normally to a casual viewer you will have your show, and they'll watch the show blank face, being like, okay, great, move on to the next thing. Well, when a writer's making a show, they're trying to do multiple things. Some of those things include, of course, making it entertaining, but also trying to have some sort of message in the show to maybe teach you something or let you or give you some sort of moral guidance, something like that, right?
Yeah.
The problem is you usually have an issue. I usually have an issue when it is blatant that you can easily see through the show and see, oh yes, this is what you're trying to teach me. Now, usually that just spans with cartoon shows where they're like, where you have literally like a protagonist saying, oh, I didn't know stealing was bad. Oh,
Right.
I didn't know I shouldn't have killed Tommy. Like, damn, I'll make sure not to do that next time.
Right.
It's like, normally when those are pretty obvious, and I'm like, okay, yes, I can see the show is trying to give me some sort of moral stance. The problem with this show is it does the exact same problem, except I don't agree with their moral messaging.
Yeah.
I'm like, not only are you trying to, not only are your morals in this show kind of scattered, but and I don't necessarily agree with them, but it's obvious what you're trying to push on me.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're trying to make me okay with these things.
And you know what? In Arcane, you know what? You have two. I'm really just going to keep it to the one. You have your. What was the woman's name? There was Jinx, and what was the other one?
V.
V. You have V, main, strong, female leading character.
Or Vi.
And you have, like, the main villain, who is a man, and you know what? A lot of people would be like, oh, yeah, strong, independent woman who don't need no man, taking down the patriarchy. It's like, this isn't about patriarchy. He's not even that much of a villain.
Yeah,
he's well written.
I was about to say, could you imagine if they tried to do that way?
Oh my god!
Like, do you know how fucking trash that would have been?
Oh yeah.
If they were like, if they made, oh man, I can't remember his name. I need to look this up.
But yeah,
he was such a good character.
It's like he's an excellent character, but you know what? It's also hard to see him as a villain at points because he's not just a guy going around doing villainy.
Exactly.
He's a guy with his experiences and his own motivations.
And the motivations are
if
understood.
he succeeded in his plan, he would have been remembered as a hero of the people.
Yes. Not Marcus. Silco,
yeah.
Silco, fantastic character.
That's the thing, is like, if Silco went through and completed his plan, and he made, because that's the end goal, his plan, even though the journey to it was morally corrupt and he had to do a lot of shitty things to get there.
He wanted peace.
He wanted peace, and he wanted to uplift the people who were living in the slums. If he went through with that and was successful, he would have been remembered as a hero.
Yeah, and man, just to bring it up, like, you want to talk about good character moments. They literally give. It's cool because you can't have that's Silco is the perfect situation of you can't have your cake and eat it too, because you can either get what you want but lose the thing that you love.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing that the options that they give them. It's like, I will give you what you want on a silver platter. But because of logical reasons that have been shown through the past, right?
Yeah.
Because of past history, this thing needs to be taken care of, and you place that on this character, and give them that ultimatum, and it's like, man, that is a hard choice. It's a good character building moment. It's great, and it comes to a very satisfying ending, and I'm excited for the next season. This show does not.
Right.
Because you can see through the messaging. It's like, yes, you're just trying to slap the patriarchy. Literally, that was on the theme of the title.
The theme.
Yeah, it's like smashing the patriarchy.
If you're an idiot, you probably looked at Arcane and thought, oh, hell yeah, strong female character taking down the man, taking down the patriarchy. That's not the point of the show. You grew up without a father, and it shows.
Oh, man.
I was like, take the fucking septum ring out of your nose, grow a personality.
Be the best possible deal under the circumstances. Don't touch me. But let me tell you this. You're gonna have to pay.
He's gonna have to pay, really.
It's kind of fun.
That's a big deal for a franchise with as much mass appeal as the MCU, which which has previously chosen to be what they perceive to be the most widely accessible. But being widely accessible has historically translated as accessible to men.
Now, that I wouldn't necessarily agree with, because as far as widely accessible goes, rom-coms are pretty widely accessible.
Yeah.
Many people. Same with sitcoms. Look at Friends. You know how many people watch Friends, men and women alike?
Yeah. Everyone I know likes Friends.
You can't just lump in the MCU with everything is widely accessible to men.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I see? Because those are two different things. It's like, okay, because what she's trying to say is like, most things that are widely accessible just means it's widely accessible to men. And I'm like, okay, we can have a discussion about that. And she goes, and that's why the MCU is so widely accessible to men. It's like, wait a minute. The reason why the MCU is generally garnered towards men is because that's who mostly watch or read comics.
Right.
It's generally men. Not to say that women don't watch these shows. Shay watches them with me, and this lady likes her action flicks. Nothing wrong with that. But generally, as far as a statistical basis, it's going to be mostly men that are watching these sorts of like superhero movies. You know, they generally will appeal to us, and that's why we watch them. And then you have this cycle.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, I find this appealing. I want to invest more in it. And so whoever's making these movies will see that investment. Of course. Or yes, men are watching this more. We can make it more, masculine or whatever. I mean, and that's how we had the 80s action movies, and that was a beautiful time.
Yeah, back when men were in charge.
Yes, back when the patriarchy was in full force.
God, I miss it. Now there's all these new-aged e-girl traps trying to fucking take us down.
Oh my god. Have you seen some of that? Like,
Have I seen some of these traps?
Like,
yes.
like the Fed Boys and shit?
Yes.
I'm like, what does this come to?
Yeah, the line is getting blurry, and I'm going to be honest, Jeremy, I think they might get me one day. But, yeah, please keep going.
If that ever happens, they need to just, like, after, what has happened has happened, they just need to be like, yes. You've fallen for my trap. And you're like, no! And
Damn it!
Looks like you're going to the Shadow Rim, Jimbo.
I'm like, this is happening more often than me banging other women. I was like,
that's the third time this week.
I'm not gay. I don't like women. I like guys that look like women.
What a weird in between.
Yeah.
I got news for you. It means you're gay.
It's like, listen, guy. Let's be clear. I wouldn't suck a guy's dick because I'm not gay. I would suck a woman's dick though. Again, same reason, because I'm not gay.
Oh man.
Unpackage that at your own time.
I love a Captain America flick as much as the next person, and all kinds of superheroes are for all kinds of people, but it's thrilling to see a wider demographic being reached out to here.
Really smart.
You're not the only genius in the family.
The digital effects, meanwhile, have been the elephant in the room since the first She-Hulk
Yes,
Attorney at
digital
Law trailer
effects were not
dropped.
great.
But
It was
the
a different
effects just
person,
don't bother me that
essentially.
much. Were they impeccable? No. Do I
No.
stand by what I said in my premiere
Please.
review? That Jen looks a little bit weirder than Hulk because he's allowed to have imperfections and facial hair? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you're talking about, because I feel like what she's trying to argue is that she looks, her CGI looks bad because she's supposed to look perfect.
Yeah, because she looks like she's made out of fucking clay.
Yeah. But she's also arguing, she's like, oh no, but Hulk looks better because he has facial hair. I'm like, I'm sorry. She looks like she came from a Shrek movie. But if you take the Hulk from 2008, he's not like doing too much better as far as the clay face is going.
Yeah.
His face also looks like clay. Maybe it's because this is a model of Hulk they've been using for years and they just did some touching up on it, essentially. Yeah. Whereas with her, they were having to basically build an entire new model and then figure out how to move it.
Yeah.
Which is going to be complicated. Plus the rush hour, which, by the way, looking back on Disney's or She-Hulk's jokes, the whole I agree with a lot of people with the joke that Kevin makes, essentially, where it says we need to have your transformation off screen, because the animators have moved on to another project.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you talk to any Marvel animator, and it is such a difficult job over there. They give you no time to do so many projects, and it's a mountain of work, and they have no time to do it. So the fact that they even threw in a joke and kept it in, saying, "Oh yeah, the animators are already on a new project," because if that's how fast we rush these things, it's like you're not doing yourselves any favors, and you're making yourself look like an asshole.
Yeah.
Honestly, go fuck yourself. Give these guys time to do the craft.
That's really a highlight of this whole our reaction is basically go fuck yourself.
Essentially, Yeah, just, for the thumbnail, here's just a bird. Or hold on. Fucking. Go fuck yourself.
Thumb out for extra emphasis.
Extra emphasis. So yeah. It was such a slap in the face. The animators are trying to do a good job, because
imagine you train all these years to do animation because you love the craft, and then all of a sudden you're overworked and underpaid.
Yeah.
You're
They
working.
should strike and form a union.
At this point, it's almost like the Newsboys again. Instead of the Newsies, it's the animators.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just sick and tired of animating She-Hulk, I tell you.
Thanks, Bruce. All right. It looks like a television show with a massively computer-generated character in it. Faulting it for being anything.
Yes,
other
and
than
it's
what it
supposed
is
to not.
seems kinda weird
Yeah.
to me.
It's supposed to look realistic.
The typical diva of law herself.
She-Hulk Attorney at Law was a massive success. Had a little bit of a
The
bobble on the
animation's
dismount,
so
but it stuck
wonky.
the landing all the same. Here's hoping that we see way more of Jennifer Walters in the MCU to come. Given her relationship with Matt Murdock, Daredevil Born Again isn't off the table and will continue to hold out hope for an A-Force movie until cinema stops existing.
No. The verdict.
I'm ready to
Are you
give
looking
my
forward to
closing
an
argument.
A-Force movie, Riley?
It's hard to bring something
No.
truly fresh to the table over a decade into a franchise, but She-Hulk Attorney at Law does just that by playing in the sitcom sandbox, introducing female.
I would disagree, because nothing feels more Marvel sludgy than, I would say, either She-Hulk or Hawkeye. Hawkeye being like the low tier sludge where it's just nothing burger.
Mm.
Kind of like Andor, no offense. I mean, it was
Yeah.
pretty decent, but it's just more.
Yeah.
She-Hulk is more but bad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's like, oh, you like the MCU? Here's fucking more, except it's full of shit.
Fucking take it, bitch.
Take it.
You like that, whore? You love it, don't
Sexuality
you?
into the MCU
Unprecedented, for sure.
and bringing major new players into the franchise. And yeah,
He gave it an 8 out of 10.
Nah.
Nah, fam.
Nah.
It's not happening.
Nah, fam, no cap, for real, for real. That shit's whack.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm dead. Oh, God.
But, yeah. 8 out of 10
the Daredevil
is...
Walk of Shame wasn't bad either.
Again, she keeps bringing up the Walk of Shame. And
You wish.
You
wish
wish.
you wish you could make that.
do you think she had to do the Walk of Shame and that's why she's finding this so, like, appealing?
I mean...
I feel like she's... I mean, I don't want to be... I don't want to push too much on her. or
Like,
say
listen,
anything.
okay, listen, Jeremy. This is something that you don't know about women because you've never had to deal with this.
You're right.
Yeah. Every woman, except for one that I know personally, has had to do a walk of shame in their lives at one point. My mother did one. My aunts, my sisters, my great grandmothers. Every woman in their life has done a walk of shame at one point. What was my walk of shame, you ask? Don't have one because I'm a fucking Chad.
See, that's the whole thing. Is like I find it funny that she's highlighting the Walk of Shame when at the same time she's trying to say that it's okay for women to be like sexual, or
Yeah,
have
sure,
casual sex.
Yeah, sure.
It's like it's either one or the other. Either it's okay to have casual sex, or you like Daredevil's Walk of Shame. I feel like you can't necessarily have your cake and eat it too in this situation, because they're obviously trying to make it what's called the Walk of Shame look like the Walk of Shame,
if they were being genuine about it, he'd walk out like a champion, and she'd walk out high-fiving the dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it'd be if it was all supposed to be cool and casual, in my opinion.
Listen, here's the thing. Is like, my biggest gripe isn't, like, my gripe isn't with women being sexual in the show. It's her claim that, like, this is the first time we see blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. Like, this isn't the first time. There have been lots of women in the show. Well, not in the show. There have been lots of women in the MCU who have desires and sexual desires.
I mean, wasn't it...
Jessica Jones. Scarlett Johansson wanted to bang the hell out of Bruce. Iron Man, the very first movie that came out in the MCU, that was the first one. He has sex with a reporter, I think?
Yeah, I think it was a reporter.
Yeah, it's like women have, you know, sexual feelings in the MCU all the time.
And he bangs, I think, who ends up being his wife, too.
Pepper Potts.
I wanted to say Penny, but I was like, that's not right.
No, that couldn't be right. But yeah, it's like lots of women in the show, you know, they have sexual desires.
That's fine.
Sometimes they have full-blown sex.
Sure.
That happens.
I mean, is this the first time that we're visually seeing it on the screen? Still, actually, no. Because of Iron Man 1.
Because of Iron Man. We see them crash into the bed making out with each other. You know?
It's like, did I think anything of it then? No. Did I think any less of the reporter then? No.
No.
She was just doing what she wanted. Iron Man was doing what he wanted. I don't think there's a problem. This is consensual. This is what you people wanted.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm like, my face is so deadpan because I'm not even making like a strong point. I'm not passionate about this point. I'm just calling it out.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to see, women being more open with their sexuality, which I'm all about because that usually means they're having sex with me. If you're all about that, that's fine. I mean, you're probably going to have to demand more R-rated shit to come out instead of PG-13.
Right.
So we can get full frontal nudity on the MCU finally.
Let's go. That's what we've been really waiting
That's
for.
what we've been named. That's what
Deadpool 3, baby.
Deadpool 3, full cock and balls out.
Yeah. I like how you didn't even go with like boobs or butt. You're like, no, cock and balls. That's what I came to see.
No, I want to see Deadpool's petrified, mummified fucking like
the sarcophagus of a dick.
Yeah, the leprosy of a penis.
Oh man.
But yeah, God, what was my point anyway?
Moving on,
really.
For more She-Hulk, check out the tragic story behind the She-Hulk finale and the 3 ways the MCU Daredevil is different from the Netflix version. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
No, I won't be doing
3
that.
ways. 1, he has sex with She-Hulk.
2, he's no longer in Hell's Kitchen at the moment.
Yeah. He's in LA.
3, he is now deaf.
Yeah, he's also just to add that on top. We took his superpower and then we took it away.
We gave him a superpower and then we said, hey, how about no?
He's still blind.
Not only are you blind, but I can't hear. What the fuck you gonna do now, bitch?
He's gonna smell his way to justice.
He's gonna touch the water and start speaking.
Yeah, he's... Whoa. Daredevil and Helen Keller collab.
Oh god.
Love to see it.
What would happen? I feel like there should be a character, just for the shits and giggles, where they've lost every single sense except for just, I mean, any of the more mute senses, like smell. Like they can't touch, see, hear, or taste, but they can smell.
Honestly, at that point, what is stopping you from just killing yourself?
The fact that you don't know how.
The fact that you don't know what a gun is. You've never heard of one. You've never seen one. You don't know what one feels like.
You maybe have smelled one, though.
You probably smelled, like, the very, like, blood scent of, like, steel in, like, the hot weather.
But that, like, gets your heart racing a little bit?
You're just like, come on, I can figure this out.
God. Imagine that superhero. Oh, that would be terrible. Like their sense of smell is just through the fucking roof. So you hand out a Walmart candle and they're just like freaking out
They just go into a fucking seizure
because they can't handle that much sensory overload.
And the best part is that they can't verbally or any way communicate that they want you to kill them.
As funny as it is, that'd be so sad.
That'd be heartbreaking.
That'd be such a tragic character.
I'm glad that God decided to cut it off. He put a cap. You lose 2 senses. It's usually sight and hearing, but that's the most of it.
That's it. He's like, I don't any further than this, and this is just
any further than this. You're basically just a collection of cells.
This is just it's terrible.
Yeah.
But. So, how did you feel about that IGN review? Right?
I give it a 1 star. I give your review.
I reviewed your review and I give it a 1. Which is the same thing I gave the
actual show that you reviewed.
Yes, the actual show. So at least we're consistent.
yeah. IGN. You've been garbage for so many years, but it's good to see that you're on that train and not changing things up. You really stay true to your form. Mm-hmm. As far as my biggest gripes with She-Hulk, the show doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah,
it tried to be a comedy show. Comedy sucked. It tried to be a lawyer show. Somehow didn't know shit about lawyers or the law.
Yeah. The gross negligence of the magician. Why wasn't he sued on that? They tried to sue him for not doing his job.
Literally, everyone that was watching this show.
The property damage.
Everyone that watched this show, every time there was a lawyer scene, everyone that watched the show had a moment where they just called it out. They were just like, why wouldn't you blah blah blah?
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I put jet fuel on my boots, and she was like, you did what? And he goes, yeah, you can't put jet fuel on boots. That's probably why they call fire. And I'm like, Jen, why are you learning about this now?
Yeah. Also, it's like, we need a witness to corroborate the story. This magician is incompetent. I was like, okay, so get any member of the audience that was present for that show.
Yes.
Any one of them would do.
Yeah, just call them up, bring them to the stand.
It's like, but we'll bring Wong, a guy who was across the fucking globe while that was happening.
Let's also bring in the drunk girl who was still drunk as shit. See, that was the thing that I wanted to think, or I said during my review, was the amount of gross negligence this magician plays, because that's what they should have sued him on, because he took a unwilling contestant because she was intoxicated.
Yes.
So she could not legally consent to whatever was happening. And then, instead of dropping her off and being I thought it would be good to do a trick of Aladdin, I could show you the world. Here's the Empire State Building, here's Paris, here's Norway, all this stuff. No, he's like, let me show you the Goblin Realm, and then he just and he just leaves her there, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The amount of that's so highly gross negligence.
Yeah, it was like, I'm gonna wow this audience by sending this woman to her doom.
Again, looks like you're going to the shadows,
Yeah, this show is so fucking bad, but it's so bad that you love to hate it.
Absolutely.
It's it's not boring.
No.
Not like Lord of the Rings, where it's half of the budget was spent on establishing shots.
Yeah, not like the Rings of Power, where it's just you get a solid 10 seconds of a horse galloping.
Yeah.
All of these long slow-mo shots that I don't need.
What's a fun fact that I learned about that Fellowship, not the Fellowship of the Ring, but the Riders of Rohan? What movie were they in?
That was Twin Towers.
That was Twin Towers, I thought so.
Or Two Towers, sorry.
The Twin Towers, where you see they fly.
I know.
To the
I know how to stop Sauron, and it's a 747. Oh my god, it's terrible.
I know how to stop Sauron. We're taking this eagle and we're flying it straight into the Tower of Sauron.
It'd be so terrible, but I'm imagining it now because I can't help it, but because the memes, but just the raw 9/11 footage, but somebody put Barad-dûr right there. It's like, oh god, it's so terrible.
Fuck. Yeah, fuck, that's great. It's been 20 years. Get the fuck over it, guys.
God.
The war war's over. We pulled out. We left.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Biden. Did sex teach you nothing? You
Yeah,
don't
you
pull out.
never pull out, dude. Also, not only did they pull out, but they also left like billions of military hardware just there.
Dude,
it's
could
still
you not?
there.
Could you not have left that in my backyard?
Yeah,
I would have taken it happily.
Oh my god.
We'll need to do a politics episode one day and just
Sure,
shoot
why
the
not?
shit.
We'll just
Maybe
shoot the
we'll
shit.
see. We'll see.
Like,
We'll
listen,
see how it goes.
I'm not pro-war, but I am very anti just leaving your shit around.
I am anti leaving taxpayer dollars on the sidewalk.
Yeah, that had a gripe. But yeah,
just not great.
Anyway, yeah. So like the Riders of Rohan in the Twin Towers movie, they were actually mostly women.
Oh really?
Yeah, the actors, they were just a bunch of chicks and fake beards because they were the owners of the horses.
Oh,
So they were just
that's
like,
kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's actually kind of cool.
It's like, we need to get the Riders of Rohan. There's like, fuck, it's gonna be so hard to find a bunch of dudes to ride these horses who are well trained. And then a bunch of women showed up.
Because
like,
women love horses.
yeah, it's like, oh, we actually own all these horses and we know how to ride them. We're like, sweet, we'll just put cosmetics on you.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a fun fact about that
That's
movie.
cool. That's
So
cool.
the Riders of Rohan, all the like a grand majority of the actors who were playing the Riders of Rohan were just women in fake beards.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were the owners of their own personal horses that you also saw.
Hell yeah. Well, with that, I think next week, I think we've decided, unless something else comes up, and we might mention it, that we'll be starting our deep dives into particular movies until a show comes out, or we finish some show that we want to talk about. We'll be doing a deep dive into Pirates of the Caribbean, because I love that show, or that movie. I think it's a good movie. I think there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of pros to it, and I don't know how you feel, but I think it would be a fun episode or a fun movie to go.
I'd love to do Pirates of the Caribbean. I'd love to do the religion and politics. Just so you guys know, my religious beliefs are far too complicated and personal to be shared with an audience.
My goals are beyond your understanding.
My goals are beyond your understanding. But yeah, so instead of like, is it possible that instead of just cutting off the stream, we actually do like one of those like news anchors fade outs, where like the audio just sort of like dims out and it fades to black?
Well, since I'm gonna be uploading this, I can edit it in post.
All right, excellent. Okay, so we'll just have like this news anchor like conversation about like any topic. Okay, so personally, I believe that it's blasphemous to God to put His name on money, because you're basically intertwining His name and consumerism together. Your thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye bye for now.
Good night, Georgia.
Good shit. That was fun.